Now that we won't be seeing the world's biggest international sporting event until the 2024 Olympics in Paris, it's time to focus on the most exciting event of the moment. The Commonwealth Games are starting in Birmingham, England in late July 2022, and the 72nd Commonwealth countries are putting in every effort to stack up all-star teams. In today's video, we're going to look at Canada's exceptional lineup, including a Tokyo Olympics champion. First up, let's look at the country's past performance. The Commonwealth Games started in 1930, but back then, they were the British Empire Games. The events were held in Hamilton, Ontario after a sports writer attended the 1928 Olympics and decided to hold a similar event for the British Empire. Canada competed in the first ever edition of the Games and has continued to participate in every edition since. They were one of only 6 total countries that participated in 1930, the others being Australia, England, New Zealand, Scotland, and Wales. To be fair, most of the countries that compete today were still under British rule back then. Canada has outperformed at every chance and won 54 medals in the 1930 Games. They took it up a notch in 1986 Games in Edinburgh, taking home 51 gold medals. But their highest medal count to date is at the 1994 edition in Victoria, when they won a whopping 129 medals. They're currently third on the all-time medal tally, but even that's no mean feat, as the country has 1,318 medals to its name. I'm actually from Victoria, and I remember those games, and it was absolutely insane atmosphere. What a time. They've also hosted the Games 4 times in Canada, including the very first time in Ontario. Canada also hosted one of the most memorable and historic editions of the Games. In the 1994 Vancouver edition, the British athlete Roger Bannister made history when he beat Australians John Landy in the famous Miracle Mile. This was the first time in history that someone ran a whole mile in 4 minutes, making for an insane average speed of 15 miles an hour. Canada hosted again in 1978 and 1994, and Montreal was set to host in 1942, but there was this minor issue of the Second World War, which led to the Games being cancelled. But it looks like Canada's going for gold again this year. With an outstanding history in the Games, it's expected that Canada would offer up a world-class lineup for every sport. But it's the cycling team that has some of the most elite picks in the country, with previous gold medalists, Olympic champions, and young prodigies making up the team. The cycling team is led by 2 of Canada's most phenomenal cyclists, Kelsey Mitchell and Michael Foley, both with insane credits to their names, and we have a feeling they're about to get a lot more. Kelsey Mitchell has only been cycling for about 5 years, but you would never know that if you looked at her record. An ex-varsity soccer player, Kelsey took up cycling in 2017, and just 2 years later, she set a world record at the 2019 Pan American Track Cycling Championships, completing the women's 200-meter sprint in an incredible 10.154 seconds. In the 2019 Pan American Games in Peru, she also won gold in the women's individual sprint and silver in the team sprint event with her teammate Amelia Walsh. She's won bronze and gold medals at the World Cup events in 2019 and 2020 in both individual and team events. But Kelsey's biggest career moment to date came during the 2020 Summer Olympics in Tokyo, which took place in 2021 due to the COVID pandemic. Just 4 years after getting into cycling as a sport, Kelsey won gold with times of 10.906 and 10.995. Kelsey is joined by Olympic bronze winner Lauriane Jeunesse and Sarah Orban on the women's team. A Cycling Canada director even mentioned that 4 years ago at the last Commonwealth Games on Australia's Gold Coast, Kelsey Mitchell wasn't even a participant and Lauriane was a newcomer. Now, the two are Olympic medalists and the top picks for Birmingham 2022. The other A-list cyclist on the team is Michael Foley. He's the youngest among his teammates at the age of 23, but in the past few years, he's made quite the name for himself. Michael was only 18 when he won silver with his team at the World Cup in the team pursuit event. Just a year later, at the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games in 2018, he competed in a track and road cycling and won bronze in the team pursuit. A few months later, he went to the World Cup again, this time winning team pursuit bronze. He also won 2 gold medals at the 2019 Pan American Championships in team pursuit and the points race. Because of this, he's regarded as a huge contributor to Canada's current standing in men's team pursuit. He also qualified for the 2020 Olympics. Michael's teammates include Nick Wames, an even younger cycling star who competed in the Kieran and individual sprints events at Tokyo Olympics at just the age of 19. Ryan Dodick and Tyler Rourke will make up the rest of the team. Some of the other big cycling names on the team for different events are Derek Yee, Matthew Gilmette, and Riley Pickerel for the endurance events. And the women's endurance team includes Ariana Bonham, Maggie Coles-Leister, and who is another 2019 Pan Am medalist, and the under-23 time trial national champion, Gare Berklow. Canada has a strong group for the road competitions, with Olympians Allison Jackson and Leah Kirchman competing, along with elite road champion Simone Boillard, Pierre-Andre Cote, and Riley Pickerel. They may only be 15 medals in the cycling events, but it looks like the Canadian team is ready to lay claim to pretty much every single one of them. Now for the rest of the teams. Canada's cycling picks may be world class, but they haven't backed down in any other events either. 43 athletes, including the cyclists, medalists will represent Team Canada in Birmingham in 2022, including 10 para-athletes and 33 able-bodied athletes. The 33 were selected based on the AC ranking standards for their events and how close their own standing was to it. These ranks were calculated using the average of the top 3 world athletics performances in the last 3 years, with the exception of the 2020 pandemic season. The 10 para-athletes were invited by Commonwealth Games Federation based on a separate ranking. Canada has a strong 2018 performance to build on as they won 13 medals on the Gold Coast. This included 2 gold wins in the able-bodied events and 1 gold in para-athletics. The team members have also competed in the Bell Canadian Track and Field Championship in preparation for the events. With the high selection standard and the rigorous training, Canada's definitely going to give everyone a run for their money this year. Now in other Birmingham news, here's everything you need to know. Ahead of the Games in July 2022, all the Commonwealth countries have put forward their top athletes for the 12-day event. The 2022 Games were set to be hosted by Durban, South Africa, but the city was stripped of its right later on. This was because of financial constraints, which makes sense as the UK government is paying around $935 million to host the Games. The Gold Coast Games crossed the billion mark by a whole lot, so it made sense that when hosting duties were given to Birmingham, this is the first time the UK's West Midlands is hosting, as Glasgow, Manchester, and London have hosted before. There will be a total of 19 sports at the Games, including athletics, cycling, gymnastics, hockey, and cricket, both for men and women. Shooting has been removed from the event lineup, and the game also has more medal events for women than men, at 135 and 133. 72 teams are slated to compete at the Games, including the 54 Commonwealth nations and 18 dependent territories. This is one more team than the 71 at the Gold Coast, as the Maldives left the Commonwealth in 2016 but rejoined in 2020. England, Scotland, and Wales also compete separately, not as Team Great Britain. And the fun doesn't end at the sports events. While the Commonwealth Games might be focused on sports, their overall message and values are based on friendship, equality, and respect between the participating nations. They're called the Friendly Games for a reason, after all. Beyond the sporting events, the city of Birmingham is hosting a festival as a way of involving the community in the Games. The festival began in March and will run till September of 2022 with over 200 events and over $14 million in funding. The festival sites are Victoria Square and Smithfield, which will host live performances and entertainment along with live streams of the events at the Games. What's more, the Games have a business impact too. Birmingham 2022 is proving to be a lot more than just sports. It will also host UK House, more specifically the Commonwealth Business Hub. After the UK's successful hosting of the Climate Change Conference, COP26, UK House will involve businesses and government leaders, hosting international delegations for discussions on sustainable development, business innovations, and trade partnerships. Different areas of focus will be addressed, including education, tourism, data-driven healthcare, and many more. This is the first time a major sporting event will be connected to an economic event. With 72 international teams and their representatives showing up to one city, there's no better time for it. And that's a wrap for this video. What teams are you supporting for Birmingham 2022? Let us know in the comments down below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.